Welcome to your doctor's report. I'm so excited for you to be here today because we are talking about the most important asset you have in your life, which is your health. I've had the pleasure of working with thousands of people over the last 10 years, people in all different areas of their health. I've seen people in their 70s, 80s, 90s living an amazing life, not interfered with by their health, not on medications, being able to go on vacation, play with their grandkids, do exactly what they want to do. On the other side, I've seen people in their 20s, 30s, 40s who are constantly limited by their health. They're on handfuls of medications. They're in pain every single day. They're tired. They're so far from their health potential because, number one, they don't understand what real health is. And number two, they don't make health a priority in their life. That's the difference. So those people who are living a full, healthy, quality life, they make their health a priority. And that's the first place they invest their time and their resources because they know that when they have their health, they're able to live to their God-given potential. They're able to be a better mom or dad. They're able to be a better employee. They're able to be a better friend, a better spouse, and they're able to live their life to the fullest. For the other people, health is not their priority. Everything else comes first. It's more important to put extra hours in at work. It's more important to put everybody's needs in front of their own. It's more important to drive a nicer car, to have a bigger house, to go on more vacations, to have nicer clothes, a bigger screen TV, than it is to invest in their health. And that is one of the most important reasons why you're here today. Because if you are here, it's because we found a serious problem with your spine and nervous system. I wish I could say it was something simple, like a muscle problem, but it's not. The good news is that these issues you have going on right now are still reversible. And this is exactly what we specialize in correcting, so you've came to the right place. It's just a matter of getting in there and getting that corrected. It's a matter of understanding what real health is and where it comes from. It's a matter of taking responsibility for your health and making that a priority. And more important than anything else, it's a matter of taking action on what you learn to create a different result in your life. That's why we spend this time here today. And in the next 30 minutes, you are going to learn what health is, how to take care of your health, and how to have true vitality. Not just feel better, but live better for an entire lifetime. So you can really get to that highest level of life that every single one of us deserves, that everybody around needs you to be at. And you need to understand, number one, what is causing your problem, what's going on with your x-rays, and what you can do to start healing your body naturally from the inside out. When it comes to health, you must first understand where health comes from. Everything that we talk about comes down to the brain and the nervous system. And the reason why that is because within just 16 days of conception, when you start from just 2 cells, your body comes together and the first system that develops is your brain, your spinal cord, and your nervous system. And out from that will grow your heart, your lungs, your organs, your arms, your legs. And within just months, your body's already regulating itself, controlling heartbeat, controlling breathing, controlling normal function. And we were designed to be self-healing. The brain, the body knows exactly what to do. It doesn't need any help. It just can't have any interference. The brain is what controls all health, function, and healing. It sends messages through your spinal cord, out the nerves, to every single part of your body. Every single of your 70 trillion cells, every muscle, every organ, every tissue, every system is controlled and regulated by the brain and the nervous system. And that's pretty amazing. So the greatest doctor exists inside you. And this is why I love what I do. Chiropractic is not about neck pain or back pain or even about the spine. It's about the brain and the nervous system. It's about removing the interference to allow your body to heal itself naturally from the inside out. That's how real health works. Now, this wasn't a concept that I always knew. When I was growing up, I was like most people, where I thought health was how you looked or how you felt. I thought it was going to the doctor. I thought it was eating the regular food pyramid. And my parents thought the same thing. So growing up, I did everything I was supposed to. I was born in the hospital. I had all my vaccinations and shots. Every time I got sick, I went to the doctor and I got the medications I was supposed to be taking. But that didn't seem to work. I was getting sick all the time. I was constantly getting ear infections. I was an athlete most of my life, but I was always getting injured. I was never able to reach my full potential. And every time I had a problem, even when I was young, I would ask the doctor, what's causing my problem and what can I do to prevent that? Like many of you probably know, there is no answer. There is no solution. It would either be, I don't know, and there's nothing that we can do. We can only do things after the fact. So keep taking this medication, or come back next time that you're sick or you're having a problem. And that was pretty frustrating to me. And as time went on, these problems continued. More sickness, more pain, more injuries. Never really being able to reach my full potential. And I started seeing that in my family as well. I saw my grandmother have a mild heart attack and got to start putting on medications. And slowly, she got sicker. And as she got sicker, she took more medications. And eventually, it was a whole box full of meds that she had to take every single day. And I went from seeing her to enjoying life, going on vacations, going to Reno, going to Hawaii, going on walks every day, to having to sit in the house on an oxygen machine. Could barely walk from the couch to the kitchen, not able to go on vacation, barely able to go to the store or go get her hair done. And it was more and more and more medications. And over the years, her health completely declined. And eventually she got so sick that she died of the cold. And that is no way to live. Even though sometimes we're able to keep people alive longer, they're moving further away from real health. And I decided at a young age that I didn't want that to be me, but I still didn't know what to do. Thankfully, one day I had an injury, snowboarding, where I fell and I hurt my back. And at the time, my mom worked for a chiropractor. And she said, why don't you come see my doctor and he can help you. And I didn't know anything about chiropractic. All I knew was that I had pain. All my doctor told me was to rest, put ice on it, and take ibuprofen, and that wasn't working at all. In fact, it was making my problems worse. So I went in and got checked out. And what this doctor did is he didn't prescribe me more medications. He didn't leave me with more questions. He gave me answers. He taught me how the body works. He taught me about the brain and the nervous system. He taught me about chiropractic and how the spine influences the communication from the brain to the body and how it regulates and controls all health and healing from the inside out. And he explained to me the reason I'd had so many problems was because I had an interference in that brain-body connection. I had had damage to my spine and nervous system from all the way back to when I was young, probably from falls I had had or injuries I had had. And what that had caused was misalignments in the spine, a condition called subluxation, something that no other doctor ever told me about and nobody had ever looked for. That was actually interfering with my nervous system, causing me to limit my performance, get injured all the time, not recover, affecting the organs and systems of my body, which is why I was getting sick all the time, and wasn't allowing me to recover from my current injury of back problems, which is the last thing that comes on after an injury, and taught me that there was a solution, an inside-out solution, and that all I needed to do was start getting chiropractic care to change that. So for the first time in my life, I got an answer. I got a solution, and I understood the cause, which was very empowering. And I wasn't just getting prescribed another medication and sent home with more questions. So I started getting chiropractic care. I started getting specific adjustments to my spine, affecting the function of my brain and nervous system, and my body started to heal. Not only did I feel better, I functioned better. I was better at sports. I was able to perform at a higher level. I was recovering faster. I wasn't getting injured all the time. And I started to notice I wasn't getting sick. I was breathing better. I always had limited amounts of asthma. Now I never would have an asthma attack or tightness in my chest. I could actually breathe like I needed to. I wasn't getting colds and coughs and sickness for months at a time. I wasn't getting ear infections anymore. I was able to focus better. I was sleeping better. And it was at that time that I decided that I wanted to be a chiropractor, that I wanted to help people and change lives like my life had been changed. And as time went on, I saw more and more challenges in health. And those challenges even more put my conviction in place of how important it is that every single person understand this principle, understand how the body heals, and understand what they can do to start getting natural drug-free solutions from the inside out, not outside in. And that's why this isn't a job for me. This is a mission. This is a passion to change the way families view and manage their health, to make a difference in healthcare, and to change our community for the better. And that's really the most important reason why we're here today, to teach you that principle and to start applying those changes in your life to forever change your health story and your health future for you and your family. Now, I'm sure you would agree with me when I say that our country is moving further away from health and more towards sickness and disease. If you don't believe me, look at the statistics. Right now in our country, 1,500 people a day are dying of cancer. That's almost 1 in every 4 deaths every single year. 34% of all health-related deaths come from heart disease. And these are both preventable, lifestyle-related diseases that almost nobody should have to suffer from unnecessarily. And you go even deeper and look at that, the true problem is that the concepts of health are no longer available at your doctor. If you look back in history, they knew what was going on. They believed in how the body heals. You look at Thomas Edison. He talked about the doctor of the future not prescribing more medication, but actually taking care of the human frame and educating the patient in the cause and prevention of disease and applying certain principles like good nutrition and natural health care. But now you don't get that at your doctor. And actually, the third leading cause of death is the medical system itself. Last year, 106,000 people died of the properly prescribed medication for the proper issue. 106,000. Today, 175 people will overdose and die from opioid-related medications. And over half of those are prescribed for back pain alone and should really never be given to just about anybody. So we're finding now in the research that many times this medical approach is causing more harm than good. It's causing more sickness and disease. If you don't believe me, watch a drug commercial on TV. You will notice that the last 10 to 20 seconds, all they talk about is side effects. There's an average of 70 per pill. And now we take over 70% of the world's medications right here in America alone. We spend over 4 times more on medical care than the next closest country. We have more medical technology. We have more medical schools. We have more medical access than almost any other country in the world. And if that were true health, we would likely be at the best. But when you look at the research again, it actually shows that America ranks dead last of all industrialized countries. So what's the problem? We spend more money, we take more drugs, we get more medical care, yet we're worse off in health? So maybe that's not working. In fact, if you really look closely and you study it even more, there's a great resource, a great book called Death by Medicine that shows that medical care could actually be the leading cause of death because we're adding interference. No drug, no medication ever gets you healthy. It actually creates more stress on your body and makes your body sicker. Like what I saw happen with my grandma. It caused more disease in her body and it made her sicker over time. Now, I'm sure many of you don't want to be taking more medications. You don't want to get more hospital visits, more doctor visits, more surgeries. So who is your drug-free doctor? And what are you doing right now to make a difference and avoid that from happening? Because if you live in that model, the symptom-based model, the sick care model, that's what you're getting. If you go to the doctor who's on your insurance list and you follow exactly what they want you to do, that is what you're getting. And unfortunately, you're most likely to end up like most people, which is 5 out of 6 suffering with some type of chronic lifestyle-related disease, stuck on medications to manage that disease and pain for the rest of their life. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for your family. I don't want that from anyone else. So that's why we want to create a different system of living. And this isn't just my words. You look at this article here from Time magazine, where they actually interviewed hundreds of doctors, and they asked them, what scares you the most? And what do you think they said? Let me tell you. The unanimous result was they said the thing that scares them the most is being you. Being the patient. Having to end up in the hospital. Having to take one of their kids to the emergency room with a major health challenge, because they know better than anybody else that it is causing harm and it is killing people every single year. So in fact, the worst place to go, according to the research and doctors themselves, is the doctor, is the hospital, is the ER. Now sometimes in a major health challenge, an emergency, that can be life-saving. When it comes to being healthy, that is not it. So how would you like to learn a new definition of health? A new system of living, where you can actually empower yourself to do something different on a preventative, proactive basis, to help the body heal itself naturally from the inside out, without drugs, without surgeries. That's exactly what we do. And that system of living here is chiropractic care and natural healthy living. And here's what the research says about that. When people use the chiropractor as their primary care doctor, and they're using natural resources to help the body heal itself from the inside out, they are going to the hospital less. In fact, 60% less hospitalizations. They're having less surgeries, 62% less surgeries. They're going to doctor visits less often, and they're spending 85% less on pharmaceutical drugs. So if you don't want to be taking more drugs, more doctor visits, more surgeries, it's important for you to start taking care of your health differently. This article further goes on to say that these people who took care of their health this way actually saved 70% on medical spending over their lifetime. For each individual, right now in America, they're spending on average of $8,000 per person for medical costs. How would you like to save over $6,000 this year? Over $24,000 for a family of 4. And that's why the number one cause of bankruptcy year after year is medical bills. The biggest expenditure in retirement year after year is medical bills. Because people are just going to their doctor and taking the drugs and doing what they thought was normal because nobody ever told them the truth. And now you know where health comes from and how to better address your health. So you can start saving money for you and your family, and you can start making different decisions to create a different outcome, a true health and wellness outcome that will change your life moving forward into the future. So now it's time to start talking about the solution. The things that affect health is stress, emotional, physical, chemical stress. And the best way to get healthy is to remove the cause and reduce interference. And that's what the 5 essentials of max living is all about. At the core of that is chiropractic care, because that's what actually affects the brain and the nervous system, and that in turn controls all health and healing in the body. We also help teach people about healthy nutrition, healthy mindset, how to exercise and move in the right way, and how to minimize toxins. And this will affect all 3 of those stresses, emotional, physical, and chemical. And it will help your body better adapt to that stress so it doesn't cause dysfunction and dis-ease from the inside out. Because you don't even notice that these things are happening until very late stage. When do symptoms come on? Early or late? That's right, they come on late. In fact, symptoms are the last stage in the disease process. So by the time you see it or by the time you feel it, many times the damage has been done. Sometimes it's already too late. And I've seen this happen in my life too. I've seen plenty of examples when people felt good but were very sick. right? When I was just in my early 20s, my dad, who looked like anybody else, looked totally normal, suddenly died of a stroke. Out of nowhere. Now, obviously, he wasn't healthy, but he looked fine and thought he was doing all the right things. When I was about 18 years old, my grandfather, who had just retired, worked hard his entire life, felt great, played golf every single day, went for a routine checkup with his doctor, and found out that he had stage 3 lung cancer. Now, he felt completely fine until he did what the doctors asked him to do, until he got surgery and the cancer spread throughout his body, until he got chemo and radiation and it made him sicker than he'd ever been in his life, made him feel horrible. And those last months of his life was the most suffering he had ever had. And eventually that took his life. And there are so many more examples of people who thought they felt fine, thought they looked fine, thought they were healthy because they weren't looking at health at all. And that's what you want to avoid. If you judge your health just by symptoms alone, you're missing so much. In fact, you may not notice any symptom at all until you've already lost up to 40% of your normal health function. And so that's what the 5 Essentials is all about. It's about a new system of living to change the way you view and manage your health for better health outcomes. So we can prevent those things from ever happening and help your body heal naturally from the inside out. So let's get to the most important essential, which is chiropractic care. And it takes us right back here to the brain and nervous system. So your brain and nervous system is the most important system in the body. We've already talked about that. And because it's the most important system in the body, it's completely encased in bone. Your skull surrounds the brain. Your spinal column has 24 individual bones that surround the brainstem, the spinal cord, and the individual nerves. Now, for this system to work correctly, number one, it has to have the proper alignment. So if you looked at it from the side, it should look like this. You should have a curve in the neck, the mid-back, the low back at 45 degrees. If we looked at it from the front, it should be completely straight. Now, if you have any shifts, if you have your head moving forward causing a loss of curve in the neck, if your shoulders are tilted or your hips are tilted and it creates a curvature in your back called scoliosis, that can take up to 8 years off your life. That can affect the function of the brainstem, the spinal cord, and the individual nerves that control health and healing in your body. And that's subluxation. That is interference. And that's the most dangerous condition that you can have in your health. This is more dangerous than heart disease. It's more dangerous than cancer or Alzheimer's because it's the cause. When you have that interference, your body can no longer heal itself the way it's designed to. Your function is limited until you correct and remove that interference. And that's what chiropractic is really about. That's what we specialize in and focus on more than anything else. Removing the interference to the brain and the nervous system, restoring normal structure, restoring function from the inside out. So your body can heal itself the way it was designed to. That's chiropractic care. To understand how your body's functioning and how your nervous system is working from the inside, we have to do 2 specific things. Number 1, we have to look at function. So when you come in, we do a special nerve scan. This nerve scan involves 3 tests. Number 1, we want to look at the brain itself and how it's adapting to stress. How much energy you have in your nervous system. That's this test here. So the further you drop down on this scale, the less energy reserves you have in your nervous system. The further you go to the left side, the more stress your body is under, and the less you're able to adapt to that stress. So that's when you start having health challenges. That's when you're fatigued all the time. That's when you're not sleeping, when things are starting to shut down, when every time you're stressed, you feel that in your body. Number 2 is an EMG, which looks at nerve supply into your muscles. For most people, their postural muscles are working 2, 3, 4 times harder than they have to, just to maintain their posture. And the muscles are not working the way they should, which is always why they feel tight and tense, always feels like you need a massage. So that neck stiffness, that back stiffness, that shoulder stiffness is not usually a muscle problem, it's a nerve problem. And that's why the things that you've done in the past likely have not worked, because you haven't addressed the core cause. And the 3rd test here is the thermal scan. It measures heat along your spine. And that's part of what's called the sympathetic chain ganglion. And that controls and regulates the nerves to your blood vessels, to your organs and systems. And if that's out of balance, your organs and systems will start to shut down, and they will no longer function correctly. And that's what builds dis-ease and will take years off your life. So you get a score out of 100. Ideally, you should be minimum 80 or above, optimally 90 or above. Most people I see are way down here, 50, 60, maybe 70. And that's why they're having so many health challenges. Number 2 is we have to look at structure. Structure comes from an X-ray. That's the most important test that we do. So what we should see, especially in the neck, we should see a nice 45-degree curve like this. When we look at your X-ray, we need to see space between your skull and the top bones of your spine, because that's where the brainstem sits. You need to have your head right over your shoulders, because if you lose your curve, that puts tension on the spinal cord. And everything needs to be moving and functioning properly, which is why we look at your posture. We look at your range of motion. We look at muscle tension. We look at joint play to make sure that everything's moving and functioning properly. Because any lack of movement, any lack of function is subluxation, and that's creating nerve interference. Your X-ray also tells us how long that problem's been there. Phase 1 of subluxation starts to look like this. You lose that curve. Your head shifts forward. But many times, you don't feel this. You're already having pathological stress and tension on your brainstem. You're having stress and pressure on your spinal cord, and there's interference to the nerves going out to the body. Now, when you leave this problem here, it causes more damage. It causes neurological degeneration of your brain. It decreases the nerve impulses out into your body. Your muscles start fatiguing more quickly and reacting more slowly. Structurally, your body gets weaker. The things that move and support your spine start to break down. And eventually that causes degeneration and arthritis. So that looks like this. So now what happens is you grow bone spurs here. You start to see that the discs in between the spine, they start to shrink and degenerate. Your spine literally starts fusing together. Now this doesn't just cause pain, neck pain, headaches, back pain, numbness and tingling. It also causes major health issues. And so when I see this, I also see people start to have asthma, allergies, thyroid problems. They start to have heart issues, sinus issues. They start to have sleeping problems, loss of energy, because there's been so much nerve stress for so long that the body's shutting down. Now, before we see any degenerative changes at all in an X-ray, that takes at least 10 or more years to get like that. So by the time you feel it, likely it's been there for months, most likely even years. And if this problem continues, if you don't properly get it corrected, it becomes over here phase 3. And that's more damage, more degeneration, more loss of health. And likely that problem's never going to be fully correctable. And when that gets even worse, when you wait on your health, when you don't take action, you move into phase 4. Now you don't see a picture of here because typically I cannot help those people. They're so far gone that their only options are drugs and surgery, which I can tell you from experience, you do not want. The success rate of surgery, according to medical research, is 8 to 13%. 8 to 13%. It costs $40,000 to $50,000, and the likelihood of you recovering is so small. And that's why you want to take care of your spine as early as possible. The sooner you can get to those things, to find and correct those, the better you're going to be. So the greatest miracles we see in the office is not the people who had miracle life changes. It's those who got to the problem and fixed it before that even happened and never had to suffer with that health challenge. So that's why today is the day for you to start getting better and take action on these things. So no matter where you are with your X-rays, if you're not at 100% normal function, you want to get that fixed now. And you want to maintain that correction for a lifetime so you can always stay at your best. So let me show you what this looks like in real life examples. This is most commonly what I see. People come in like Michelle here. Michelle has a job where she sits all day. She sits at a computer 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. She's been doing that for years. When she was younger, she used to play sports. She was a cheerleader, she was an athlete, and she had falls. Falls where she fell on her back, falls where she fell on her neck, but never thought about it. Michelle here actually saw a chiropractor. In fact, she really liked chiropractic. She'd been seeing a chiropractor before she came to me for 10 years. Let's take a look at how healthy her spine is. So you can see here, she has no curve at all. Complete 100% loss of that curve. Her head is shifting forward. So your head weighs about 12 to 15 pounds. For every 10 millimeters that goes forward, that's an extra 5 pounds of stress. So Michelle here was at 40 millimeters forward. That's an extra 20 pounds of stress. That's insane. So she had neck problems. She had tight upper back muscles. She would occasionally get numbness tingling into the arms. But her worst issue, she would get headaches and sometimes debilitating migraines. In addition, she had allergy problems. She wasn't sleeping very well. Her energy was really low. And she started developing breathing problems out of nowhere later in adulthood. Now, you would think sometimes from an x-ray like this that already has phase 2 degeneration, disc degeneration, bone spurs, loss of function, years of suffering, that she would be 50, 60, 70 years old. When she came to see me, she was only in her 30s. And she was already on 5 medications. And she was suffering every single day. She no longer had the motivation to go exercise or be social or advance in her career. She was just making it through the day, just doing enough to survive. And that's no way to live. When she finally came into my office and looked at her problems, I knew right away what was causing her issues. I knew it was subluxation. I knew she didn't need more medications. She didn't need a big diet change. She didn't need to start doing things differently. She needed to affect and correct the cause of the problem. So when she came in, I asked her, I said, you've been going to chiropractors for 10 years. How come you still have the same problems? And I asked her, I said, did you get x-rays? And she said, no, I never got x-rays. I asked her if she was doing therapeutic exercises. I asked her if she was doing neuromuscular reeducation. I asked her if she was doing postural training. She said, no, I'm not doing any of those things. I asked her, how often are you going in? She said, well, I usually go in when my neck and my headaches hurt the worst. And my insurance allows me to go in about 12 times a year, so I try to space that out as much as I can. So what she's doing, and unfortunately what most chiropractic and almost all medical care is, what's called relief care. It's care based upon symptoms. It's care based upon what the insurance will allow you to do. And that's exactly what she was doing. So let me ask you a question. If you went to the gym 12 times this year, how fit would you expect yourself to be at the end of the year? Probably not very fit. In fact, you might just be more sore after every time you do that. If you brushed your teeth once a month this whole year and you went to your dentist for your next checkup, how do you think you would be doing? If you never changed the oil in your car or changed the air filter in your HVAC system, how can you expect that to work? So this is the most important system in your entire body, the brain and nervous system. She went to doctor after doctor and put on more medications. She went to chiropractic visits but never fixed the problem. And now she's been suffering with this problem. And I asked her, why was she doing that? She's like, well, my insurance only charges me a $15 copay. So I asked her more questions. I was like, well, how much do you pay just to have access to that insurance every month? She said she pays $500. And then I asked her, what's your deductible? Well, she said, my deductible is $1,000. So before she gets any service at all, she's already paying $5,000 in insurance premiums plus a $1,000 deductible. That's $6,000. On top of that, she was paying the $15 copay for 12 visits. That's another $500 or so. So she was paying $6,500 a year to get 12 visits. And in that 10 years, her spine, her nervous system, and her health got worse. So let me ask you, was that a good investment? It's not. So she came in and she wanted a solution. She wanted to fix her problem. She was tired of suffering. She didn't want more drugs. So we had to take a different approach. We had to take a corrective approach. And that's what we specialize in, and that's where we differ. That's why I have people that drive hours to get here, that do all types of things and go outside of their insurance to get the care they need. I used to participate in those insurance networks, but what I found is they constantly made me limit the care I gave. I couldn't do the proper evaluations, and I had to dismiss patients early. So I dropped all of that, went out on my own to where I can now work for you and give you the care that you actually need. And that's what we did for Michelle. So what she needed was not 12 visits a year, she needed 48 visits in 6 months. So that came down to 3 times a week initially. So she started coming in. Every visit builds on the next. And every time she came in, we didn't just do a random adjustment. We did specific therapeutic exercises, cervical traction on the wall, which you've done to decrease stress on the brainstem and spinal cord, take pressure off the discs and the nerves. We did mobility, wobble disc exercises to rehydrate those discs, to bring oxygen and blood flow to the muscles and tissues, to restore the cerebral spinal fluid flow from the brain through the spinal cord and throughout the nervous system. We did specific vibration soft tissue therapies to break up all the scar tissue that had built up from past injuries, to stimulate the body to build new healthy tissue. And then at that point, once the body was ready, we did very specific corrective care adjustments. That's the most important thing we do. That's what corrects and removes interference. That's what reduces subluxation so that nerve supply can start getting out to the body, allowing the body to heal itself. And then we also do curve correction to restore those curves, restore the normal structure, and so her body can actually hold that adjustment better. And then after that, we had to reteach her brain a new normal. So we did vibration exercises, balance exercises with body weights that actually allowed her posture to change and taught her brain that was normal. In addition to that, we gave her home care exercises to strengthen and stabilize that correction. Her own traction, her own wobble, her own body weights, specific spinal aids, and resources to allow the body to heal. That's the corrective approach. So here's what happened. After coming in 3 times a week for the first 2 months, following that corrective approach, doing everything we asked her to do, we took an updated x-ray to see how her body was responding to that. And this is what we saw. You can see here that we're actually restoring normal structure. The curve's starting to come back, the head's shifting backwards, pressure is being taken off the brainstem. And that's a huge part of that healing process. We also noticed better posture, better range of motion. Her body was functioning better. Now what she started to see was she wasn't getting those headaches anymore. Within just a couple of weeks, those were reducing. Within 2 months, she wasn't getting headaches at all. She started to notice that she was getting better energy. She was starting to sleep better. She was breathing better. Her health was coming back. Her body was healing. And that's one of the best parts about what it is that we do. Now, as she got better, we were able to start dropping her down to 2 times a week for the next couple of months. And then 1 time a week for 2 months after that. We continued to adapt her corrective care in the office, her care at home, because everybody's different and things are already changing. At the end of that 6 months, we took another updated x-ray. And this is where she was. You can see that's even better. Restoring structure, restoring function. Removing the interference and reducing subluxation. Now the brain's able to communicate effectively to the body. The body's able to heal and repair and regenerate just like it's supposed to. So she came in pain every single day, suffering, on multiple medications. In 6 months, she was able to get off all 5 medications, lose 20 pounds, get out of pain and start living her life again. And that is absolutely amazing. Now her insurance covered none of this. She had to pay $5,000 out of her pocket for that, which actually saved her money. Was that a good investment for her? I hope you said yes. When I asked her that question, that's exactly what she said. Now, when I asked her even more, how long do you want to stay like this? What do you think she said? Of course. She said, I want to stay like this for the rest of my life. And that's the most important part of your care. It's not just about the initial correction. It's about the phases afterwards. It's about what's called supportive care and wellness care. Because for your body to heal, that takes at least 12 to 18 months. Now at 6 months, she was functioning and feeling so much better, better than she had in years, but there was still correction that needed to take place. She still needed to continue that process so her body kept healing. Because if you get all the way here and you stop doing those things, you go backwards. Those things start to come in again. So the most important phase of care is not corrective care. It's actually the phases after that. It's the supportive and wellness care that keeps you healthy for the rest of your life. And that's where most of our patients are. Over 70% of our patients are wellness care patients who are here year after year, and this is their health care for them and their family, and it's saving their money. And they're living a higher level of health. And that's what I want for each and every one of you there as well. And that's why, for Michelle, as soon as she started getting better, the first person she got checked was her son. Now, as a family wellness office, we take care of babies, we take care of children, we take care of teenagers, we take care of elderly patients. We take care of everybody because everybody needs to be at their absolute best. So this was her son. He came in, he wasn't having symptoms, he wasn't having healthcare problems, but she knew she wanted to make sure his brain and nervous system was functioning correctly. This is his x-ray. Is that normal? Well, I hope you said no, because you can see there's almost a complete loss of curve in the neck. There's over double the amount of pressure on the brain stem. Now, he doesn't feel anything right now. He doesn't have any disease processes going right now. But what if we left this here for another 5 years? What if we left it here for another 10 years or 20 years? And by the time he's having headaches or neck pain or asthma or ADHD, the damage has already been done. We were able to get him started on corrective care when he was young, and this was his x-ray within just a few months of care. Now you can see normal curve, no stress on the brainstem. What is his health future now? The greatest miracles are those issues that were prevented. which is exactly why you want to get your entire family checked for subluxation, corrected and maintained for a lifetime. So let's take another look at another example. Secondary curves has to be straight from the front. Straight up and down, shoulders, hips level. That's normal function. So what happens when your spine looks like this? This is what's called scoliosis. Remember at the beginning when I said that can take up to 8 years off your life and affect every major system? But what happens if you take this x-ray to your doctor? Well, let me tell you, this guy, before he came into the office, had been suffering with back pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, digestive problems for over 5 years. He was an athlete. He played football. He played baseball. He had plenty of traumas, definitely enough to shift the spine out of alignment. And for many years, he had care from trainers and massage therapists and doctors, and he was able to manage his symptoms and manage his injuries and keep playing. But as time went on, like problems they got worse. And he started developing more pain and more health problems. Started developing disc problems in his low back, major pain. Doctors prescribed more pain medications. They want to give him shots. They even told him he needed surgery. And he was just in his late 20s. That is not the time you want to get surgery there. And there was no solutions he could get. He saw doctor after doctor. And as his health got worse, he started developing digestive problems, irritable bowel problems, diarrhea, constipation, toxicity problems inside his body. And he was spending hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars on medications, on specialists. And of all the people he saw, of all the doctors, not a single one ever looked at his brain and nervous system. In fact, they had taken x-rays, and you know what they said? They said that this was normal. Normal. Is this normal? No. Is the body functioning, healing the way it should? Absolutely not. So he didn't need more doctor visits. He didn't need more medications. He certainly didn't need surgery. What he needed was to correct the cause of the problem, subluxation. Thankfully, he was referred into the office by a friend who had amazing results as well and said, you need to come see my doctor because I know exactly what you need. So he comes in and gets evaluated. You can see clearly here he has a problem. What no doctor ever told him was that these nerves here in the lower back, they actually control and regulate the whole digestive system. They control the muscles of the low back. They control the hips, the knees, the feet, and all the lower extremities. No doctor told him that. Supposed to be some of the best specialists in the country could not fix that problem. And when he came in, I showed him exactly what was going on. And right away he said, how come nobody ever told me this before? I've been doing all these things, spending all these money, and not a single doctor ever looked at this. And I told him the solution. I said, it's time to get started with your corrective care. So let me ask you a question. If this was your x-ray, what do? I hope you said get it corrected. Because if you don't, you know what happens. The problem gets worse. More degeneration, more dysfunction, more dis-ease, more medications, more costs. So what we had to do was start him on a corrective process. Now we did a motion film as well. We do motion films of the neck, of the lower back, to see exactly what's working and what's not. So normally in the lower back, as you bend to each side, you should have 25 degrees of motion. So this is his bending film. It's at 3 degrees. So if it's supposed to be 25 and it's at 3, how's that functioning right there? Yeah, not good. So it's not a matter of more nutrition or better exercise. This guy ate well. He was fit. He exercised. But he had an interference so his body couldn't heal. Now we took him through that corrective care process. The same corrective care process I explained to you. Now in his case, because he had had all those medications and because he had built up toxicity and because he had had digestive challenges, we also needed to go through and do a complete 90-day detox for him called True Cellular Detox, where we actually went through and strengthened all his detox pathways. We went through and cleansed the cells of his body and his organs, the digestive system, the spleen, the kidneys, the liver. We went through and cleansed his brain and nervous system. We helped him with a specific nutrition plan to actually build health in his body instead of build disease. And with those other essentials, we were able to address the other areas of stress. But the first step was corrective chiropractic care. That's where we started. And the detox and the nutrition, those things came later as the body was healing. So we went through and did this corrective care, this nutrition, this detox to help his body heal. He also had an imbalance in his pelvis. It was out of balance. So we did a foot scan and found that his feet were out of balance. So we actually gave him corrective stabilizing orthotics to take the stress off his body to allow it to heal. And we did this for that same 6 months. And 6 months later, this was his updated motion film. 24.5 degrees. Change in structure, change in function. Remove the interference. What do you think happens to his body? That's right, it healed. Not only did he not have back pain anymore, not only was not having knee and shoulder and hip pain, but his digestive system cleared up. A problem the doctor said he would have to deal with for the rest of his life cleared up on its own. And he was in no pain. In fact, he felt better than he had in 10 years, even when he was playing at an elite level in high school and college. And he was able to completely avoid any type of surgery. And that's awesome. That's why we do what we do. And it was amazing. He said it time and time again. I can't believe nobody ever told me this. So now he refers people to the office all the time because he wants to save other people's lives and make a difference in that area. We took him from looking like this to like this. Balancing the pelvis, straighter spine, change in function, change in structure. Body heals itself. That's how chiropractic works best. Now let's take a look at one more example. This is another person struggling with their health. Another person who did a lot of right things, ate well, took care of herself. But unfortunately, health was not a priority. You could see here in the neck, complete reversal of curve. Phase 2 degeneration, forward head carriage, 40 millimeters, pressure on the brainstem, disc degeneration of the lower back. She was getting debilitating back pain, numbness tingling into her legs. She comes in to get help. We go through exactly what you're learning right now. We went through the exact steps of getting it corrected. We gave her the solution of exactly what to do. Now, instead of saying, let's get started and taking action on her health, she decided that she was too busy. She said, I'm running my own business. I'm spending 50 hours a week working on that. I have responsibilities in my life. There's no way I can come in 3 times a week. Maybe once a week, maybe every other week, a couple times a month I can make it in. And unfortunately, that wasn't enough to fix her problem because it was so far gone and she had so many health issues. And also, one of her other things was she was investing a lot of money into her business and into other areas of her life. She was trying to move. She was trying to get a new car. So her health was coming last. So she couldn't afford it. And she decided instead of taking action on her health, she was going to go home and think about it. So if this is your x-ray and you go home to think about it, what's happening every single day? That's right, it's getting worse. And go home to think about it doesn't mean you're going to figure it out and come back. It means that you're likely not going to come back until it's even worse or until something else happens. Now in her case, she went home to think about it. And like most people who do that, I didn't hear back from her. Until months later, I actually found out that she ended up in the hospital with emergency back surgery because it completely went out, a full disc herniation, which I told her was likely a possibility, but at the time wasn't important because she could just deal with it. Now her priority was business and other areas of her life. What do you think happened when she landed in the hospital? She wasn't able to run her business. She wasn't able to do those other things. Her business completely failed and went down. And she also talked about costs. The surgery that it cost her in the hospital was $50,000. She was in the hospital for a week. Right? Even with what her insurance covered, she still had to pay over $10,000 out of pocket. And it didn't even fix the problem. That's why you don't think about it. That's why you don't put it off. Procrastination is the thief of health. You're here today to fix the issues and to get better. And we're going to help you figure it out. We'll help you find the time. We'll help you find the money. We have different ways to be able to make that work. And we can make it work for your entire family. Because health is your most valuable asset. Either you invest in it or you have to spend trying to get it back. And I don't want to see that happen to you. So when it comes to getting better, there's a reason why people get great results. There's a reason why people are getting off medications, turning their health around. Why we're getting different results even than other chiropractors, other doctors, other healthcare practitioners. Because we take this advanced 5 essentials approach. Because it's a complete system of living. And that takes just 3 things. Number 1 is your commitment. One of the biggest questions I'm going to ask you in just a minute when we go through your x-rays is, are you on board and committed to getting this corrected? Because if you're not committed to that, it's never going to work. I can give you all the solutions, the best answers, everything. And that commitment looks like showing up to your visits every single week, whatever that is, 3 times a week, 2 times a week, once a week, every other week. You want to come to every single visit because everyone builds on the next. Every time you miss a visit, you lose progress twice as fast as you gain it. Number 2 is you want to do your home care. We'll show you exactly what to do to help stabilize and correct your spine. And if you do it, you're going to do great. But if you don't do it, it's very difficult to correct those issues. If you don't make changes in your life and you don't fix what caused it in the first place, it's hard to be able to get those corrections. And number 3, you invest time in your health. You read the weekly newsletter. You read the emails that come in. You come to the health workshops because we spend hours, tens, hundreds of hours every single year training, getting resources, going to seminars, studying, researching to give you the latest and greatest natural health information. We do that for you so you can have those resources to change your health. So that's step 1, being committed. Step 2, like you saw here in many examples, is you want to include your family. Right? Your entire family needs to be at their best, which means that your entire family needs to be checked for subluxation and under corrective care if we're seeing issues. So we actually do family discounts. We do discounts on your initial care for correction in the first week of your care. We'll get your whole family checked and we'll find to make it work. I have families of 5, 6 coming in and they're not even using insurance, still getting corrective care. And number 3, so important here, is that you share this information with others. Many people, maybe even you, are here because someone else referred you into the office. Maybe you came to a dinner or a workshop. Maybe you saw me online or heard me on the radio, and that's what brought you in. And I guarantee you, if you take action on this today, this will change your life. Whether that's a week from now, a month from now, 6 months, a year from now, your life will change for the better. And the longer you do this, the more benefits you're going to get. And that all starts with someone stepping out and saying, hey, I think there's something that can help you. So all we ask from you, as you're getting corrected, as you're getting healthy, as you're getting your family on board, that you share this with other people. We do a community dinner every single month to invite friends and family for free. We do workshops once every month or 2, which you can invite friends and family to for free. We have referral events, patient appreciation days, almost every month, opportunities for friends and family to come in and get checked. We do talks in the community. Almost every week I'm out in the community talking, teaching about real health, because that's the definition of doctor as teacher. And we are on a mission to change lives in our community. I believe that if every man, woman, and child were under a corrective chiropractic care, we'd have the healthiest community in the country. And the only way to do that is to get out there and get this information to more people. So I need your help. I need your help to share this with other people. So as you're getting started, we're going to ask you, who do you know? Who do you want to bring to that next dinner? Who do you want to bring to that next workshop? Who do you know that's sick and suffering that wants a solution so that we can change more lives? In just a minute, we'll be going over your x-rays. I'm going to ask you what you see. I'm going to ask you what you want to do and if you're committed to getting this process corrected. And then we're going to go through your perfect world recommendations on exactly what it takes to be able to get that corrected. And we'll help you get started on this tonight so you can start experiencing those benefits for yourself and for your family. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in a minute.